All right, this is episode 5 of the Part-Time Warlords. Today we have a very special episode. We are wrapping up War in Wyong IX, and we're also going to let Alex and our new guest, Jack, go on a bit of an ogre rant. So, Hugo's here, of course. Hugo, say hi.
Hi. Hope my audio is a lot better this time.
Oh, we hope so. And Alex, you're back.
Well, look, I don't think Hugo's audio could be any worse.
No, it could not be any worse.
And thirdly joining us is Jack. Say hi, Jack.
Hey everybody, how we going?
Jack, you
Jack
want
has
to
the
tell
best
us about
audio.
yourself?
Well,
No one likes talking
okay.
about themselves. You
Nah,
pretty much
not
fine.
really. Well, a brief. I'm guessing it's like a very brief like Warhammer background, like super brief. Is that what you
Yeah.
want, or
Yeah.
like in general?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, at the moment, I'm currently ranked like 9th or 10th on the Aussie rankings. I've just recently taken back the best in race Ogre Icon. I've played the ETC for Australia the last 3 years. I'm going to play for the Kiwis this year, and I am a back-to-back Master of New Zealand for 9th Age the last 2 years in a row.
Is the invader.
Hmm.
He's the invader. He goes to New Zealand and wins.
It's the Australian way, Chris. It's the Australian way.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for joining us, Jack.
that's
we've
all
got
good, guys.
heaps to talk about later on with Ogre Khans, but we want to just touch on War in Wyong, which was this past Sunday, and I mean it was pretty successful for us on the podcast actually. So I'm going to throw it to Alex, of course, who was our TO. And Alex, what was how'd the day go? What was anything fun you want to talk about from the day? I know there's one
Well,
thing in particular.
There is, and we'll get to that. But first of all, I think the day went pretty well for everyone. Almost everyone was on time. Everyone finished their rounds on time. Like everything seemed to work, and that's what I was looking for.
Brilliant.
Importantly, I beat Max. And
Beat.
I didn't just beat him. I destroyed him.
I wouldn't really call it
Literally
beating him
back in
though.
Sydney after that.
It's
That was
it's more like you wailed on a cripple,
Yeah,
but you know.
20 mil pummeling is what he got.
Wow. 20-0. That was your demons versus his ogres, was it?
His warriors.
Warriors, sorry.
Yeah. He just look. He did all right, but then he didn't, and he got destroyed.
Simple
Alright.
as that.
So
Do you-
let's talk about the
Small-
most important
small-
thing: the bloat flies.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the I don't know how this happened. I deployed first, and then Max gave me all of the good matchups that I wanted. So that's all on him. He charged Chosen Knights, and the Chosen Knights over 2 rounds all died, and I lost half the flies.
To Chosen Knights.
4 Chosen Knights.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
well
those
done.
flies are fucked though.
There wasn't it wasn't a spike in either people's rolls either. That's just kind of how it was.
What upgrades did you have on them, Alex?
Digestive vomit.
I was gonna say, well,
I
why do you
had
have unhinging
no
jaw?
magic buffs
You
for
get
either side.
rerolls.
But they didn't seem to need it, did they?
No,
They killed those Chosen Knights.
I just quietly and politely, I am so looking forward to that nerf bat hitting them so fucking hard. They are
What?
cancer.
Jack, what would be the nerf bat? What in your mind? What's the nerf bat for bloat flies?
One or two things either has to happen. You either have to take another wound off them, or you have to remove some of the upgrades they have access to. Well, that's the thing, because at the moment, it's 3 attacks, strength 4, AP 3. That's fine, because demons need something to help crack armor. They
Yes.
don't have a lot of consistent armor cracking. That's fine. The 2 toxic bounce backs, that's again situational, but fine. You know, like it's like a toughness 5 model with next to no armor, i.e., like a Ghast or like a Shabti or something like that, is not going to care about it as
Roger.
much as, or a Roger is not going to care about it as much as a Executioner or a White Lion. You know what I mean? Like, or even like an Imperial Guard model. In my opinion, having the 4 wounds is a bit excessive. If you drop them back to 3 wounds, or better yet, you can leave them exactly as they are.
Yep.
And you can just do what they did to stuff like Wing Reapers and a few other units in the army, you put a model cap in the book. You can have 3 units if you want, but only have 10 models.
10, yeah, 10 would be a good number. I
Yeah.
played against, I think I played against 2 units of 4,
Yeah.
accompanied by 2 units of 4 Brazen Beasts. So,
Well,
I
there's
mean,
a list. There's a list
yeah.
going to WTC off the top of my head. There's a list going to WTC that's got like
15?
14 or 15 flies,
Yeah, I think I've
and they've
seen some
got
15, yeah.
and like some of the things you can put on them, like the vomit, like Alex said, like for an example, unhinging jaws. I think they got that broodmother upgrade where they can grow themselves back.
They can have Broodmother in addition
Yeah.
to the others.
That's what I mean. Like that's just fucking horrifying.
So that was good to
That was
see
how
that.
my game with Max went.
Yes.
He
The
also
flies get a lot of play.
one bad magic phase with him, and I got reroll a hit, reroll a wound, and lethal strike on my Myrmidon, and killed all his warriors, and his wizard ran away, and then I killed him next time.
Brutal.
Brutal.
So
So you crippled him and then you beat him up more.
that's what I did. I didn't apologize after either.
To be fair though, it's well deserved because he was talking a lot of shit.
Well, I think I was. But
But,
least I
but
backed it
it's
up.
all well and good to talk
I've-
shit if
I've
you can
won.
back that shit up.
so that was one. Just so everyone knows, we have 3 of the top 5 here. Jack came 5th.
Mhm.
New Nick, a new to me. I call him New Nick because he's not other. He came 4th with Demon. Chris came in 3rd with the Dwarves. Nick, who's been on here before, came 2nd with the right-click list for Scotty. And then Hugo, with the worst list, came first.
Yeah, thanks Hugo.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack.
And Hugo
I
did
like to thank
play
Jack's
Jack
Dice for
and
that
Nick.
game.
And then other things of note. Dave didn't come last.
Who you were trashing?
Yeah, well, he's Dave, but he didn't come last, so that's good. He won a game, once again, against Max.
What, even with the 10 points?
Even with the 10 points, he did not come last.
Holy moly.
He did, however, for the whole day, forget that his Disciples of Luga had a 100-point banner, and used it maybe once or twice.
Brilliant.
He
Wait,
also
what
forgot
banner
that
did he
his
have?
little
Icon-
card-
100-point banner. the
Icon on
of the-
Inferno.
Yeah.
And he forgot about it. Are you
He's sure
fucking
did.
serious?
He also forgot that Immortals have special attacks against them, and Simon Wood killed them with a steam tank.
Oh god.
So
Oh, it was
Oh wait,
glorious.
he still won a game with that.
he did. He beat Max.
Well,
So
okay,
Max
I'm wholeheartedly applauding that. He's getting us a wholeheartedly soft clap.
Well done, Dave.
we had the nicest man in 9th age come up from Canberra, from the wasteland that is Canberra. Had some games. It was a good day all around. I think
It was an
everyone
awesome
had
day.
fun.
The
That's all I can
Wyong events are unreal.
Yeah, they are. Just great place, great guys. Fantastic. Unfortunately, Hugo did win, though. Hugo, do you want to talk about how your day went quickly?
No.
No?
No, not really. It was just
You
lucky.
got, a bit of
It's-
redemption for the
it's-
dreadies. You've got your icon back.
That's just how things are meant to be in the world. There's nothing it's nothing special, you know. Just justice.
Speaking of icons, though, I did not lose my Empire one because Simon had to retire hurt after the first game.
Yeah, he probably should have taken your icon.
That one. With how bad his leg was, he probably shouldn't have been there at all.
Yeah.
But,
I'm surprised he
also-
drove, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
believe Ethan, was it Jack? That is like millimeters away from getting
well,
that icon.
If I have it, Ethan, so there's only been 4 people all year that have played Saurians at tournaments, right? Everyone's played them once each. Ben Wadsworth held the icon with 47.37 from Castle Assault last year. Ethan got 47.3.
Oh,
0.07 of a point short.
oh.
If he literally would have got 1 more point higher, like if he would have come instead of 4th, if he would have come 3rd, he would have best in race lizards.
Well, he will have it as of BrizCon because he is taking the Historians to BrizCon.
That is very true because even if he
Wow.
comes last, he's going to get at least 2 or 3 points.
Yep.
True
Fantastic.
So
story.
actually, we had 2 dropouts at this tournament, didn't we? At the we had Joe and Brennan drop out. So if they were here, maybe Ethan would have got it in the one game, like in the one tournament.
He probably would
Yeah,
have.
yeah, he would have.
The other thing too to note, as well deserved, is that there was another icon changed hands, and I always love it seeing leaving the hands of a Queenslander and coming back to New South Wales. Mr. Matt Stanley is now best in race for Infernal Dwarves.
What?
Good job to Matt.
What?
Who had it before?
Nathan Goodchild had it with one tournament.
Yes.
Nathan had it with 91, and I think Matt was 86 or 87, and then got a 38 to catapult himself up to 123.
Yeah, Nathan played it Inferno Wars at the
Asian
Asian
Pacific.
Pacific. He did all right. He got third place, I think it was.
Yeah, and I think he played one game with him before the tournament.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nathan, even in 8th ed, Nathan had a great habit of picking up an army, playing it a game or two with it, taking it to the tournament, smashing face. There was the last ever 8th ed Masters. I think Nathan qualified with 4 tournaments he only played 4 tournaments all year, and you needed 4 tournaments to qualify. He played 4 different armies and got 4 podiums.
Impressive.
Yep.
Extremely
played
impressive.
Wood Elves, Demons, Skaven, and Warriors, I believe. I think that was the last big CanCon we had. It was like 116 players or something. He comes second with Warriors.
Very impressive. And just we had those change hands or close to changing hands, and yep, Hugo got number 1. He did play against you. I got to play against you, which was good.
Yeah.
And that'll hopefully lead in really well to our rant today, which is all about Ogre Khans.
Yeah.
Now, Hugo and I behind the scenes are kind of we're not trashing them.
No.
Alex is doing a lot more trashing. than we are.
Alex is doing the main trashing. We're just here to funnel the
yeah.
trash.
My energy, my trashing energy.
Yeah, or maybe throw him like a bone or a counterpunch. I don't know. Depends what he says.
I think I was just a bit. We were just a bit confused about it, and we wanted to get some opinions on it. So we're going to kick it off. So Alex is going to start off. Alex, what is your rant? Why are you upset with Ogre Khans at the moment?
Alright, so I started my Ogre army because I wanted to play Ogres. I wanted to have Ogres. Let me say, first of all, when I say Ogres, let's say Ogre Khans, the army book is fine. I like the army book, I think it's pretty good. But when I want to play an Ogre army, I want to have Ogres in the army. And it just so happens that Ogres in the Ogre Khan army are terrible.
Do Yetis count?
Do you want to
Yetis are not
specify
ogres,
what
they-
are ogres in an ogre army?
Yeah, the Ogres would be the Tribesmen, the Bruisers, and the Bombardiers.
Oh,
Characters
hardcore.
don't count because they're characters. Bombardiers are okay, but the other two, like, they're just... If you look at lists, usually people are trying not to take them. Or they take the minimum amount.
To be fair, Alex, when you say the units, do you mean them as in general, or like depending on the unit sizing, or
I think Ogres get worse the bigger the unit is.
because
3 is good, the more you have, the worse they get.
Just to get some quick background, Alex, you've been playing a bit, but you're back to demons at the moment, right?
Yeah, I play my Ogres every now and then.
And Jack, in your current list that you were playing us with on Sunday, what was your how many ogres did you actually have in your list?
not counting characters.
Yeah, we'll talk about characters later.
All right. Well, I had 3 units of 3 tribesmen and 1 unit of 9 bruisers.
That's it. So we've got what? 15?
18 ogres.
And 3 characters and a kin eater. The rest of it's rocks and cannons and dogs and shit.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my problem with Ogres, is that the Ogres are terrible.
To be fair though, it's the same principle if you take a Skaven army. The core is shit. Like same as undead. A lot of undead core is very
That's because of
terrible unless you
quality
take like a
of
Strigoi army.
That
Yeah.
they have.
That's a good
That's
point.
true.
Ogres don't have.
No. The problem with ogres, that it's always been a problem. Even in 8th edition, when I played the shit out of them, they've had the same problem the whole way through. Low model count, lots of attacks, cannot hit for shit.
Yeah, the low stats.
Yeah, absolutely. Low offense or low defense. What we're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Low agility, low offense, low defense. They're literally an orc, but worse because there's less of them. An orc, you can get away with it. If you've got 50 orc boys and you lose 20, you still got 30 to hit them back with.
Yep.
With an ogre unit, if you've got 9 and you lose 3, you're fucked. Because unless you're fighting 10 or 15 guys, a block of 30 or 40 is going to break you.
Yep.
You just literally will not do enough damage.
There's
They've
also
already done 8 to 9 wounds plus all their static res. You can't beat it.
there's also the issue of like the ranks and stuff. Like you said, if you've got 50 orc boys, if you've got 30, that's still 6 ranks of 5, and
Yeah.
you'll probably be steadfast. But ogres, it's like how many ranks can you ever get? Maybe 4 is the most you'll ever get.
Absolute maximum, if you really push the biscuit,
Yeah, push it.
you 6.
Compared to what 10 that a normal army can get.
Yeah, 8 to 10, yeah. But bear in mind, that block of 6 is not just one core unit. That's going to be max tribesmen and like 3 or 4 characters in it.
Yep.
So you're talking like in excess of 2,600 points there without even trying.
So then, would you say the actual ogre itself is too expensive?
To be fair, it depends what you use. Like, I've had great success using ogre darts literally as what they are. You like,
Yeah, they're
I-
strong
in-
chaff.
you use them as strong chaff, or an example, my ogre list that I was playing earlier in the year, Vic GT.
Yes.
You're going to kill whatever they touch at strength 6. And because of the way, if you run them in a dart, you've only got a 40 mil frontage to get hit, so it lessens the amount of attacks coming at you. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to take 3 to 4 wounds, so it doesn't matter about the guy at the back, 'cause he's dead anyway.
Can I throw in? I think I've played. I think I've played against that. And I really, I think I was playing. I was either playing dwarves or I was playing vermin. And I actually had a really hard time with them because I can't just shoot certain things at them and weaken them.
And at the same time, they're still 9 toughness 4 wounds with 5 armor. Their leadership 8, and they're only 205 points.
Yeah, so in terms of the 2 armies, especially that I was playing, I've had a lot of trouble with the darts. Not even talking about scoring, just
Yep.
yeah, so absolutely agree with that.
Well, even in the game you and I played in, you played probably the best scenario to play me in. It was banners. My 3 darts literally sat in the 3 corners of the board and didn't fucking move.
Yeah, absolutely,
Like,
absolutely. So they were great at playing the objective. Great at playing the objective. Just in terms of core, can we chat about core quickly? And I know that later Hugo's got some WTC lists to look at, and of course, your lists. Can you actually really quickly, Jack? Can you break down the lists that you've been using?
okay, so my list at the moment that I'm taking is basically, being honest, it's a 99% chance of what I'm going to take to ETC this year. So my army, basically, like, how basic do you want me to break it down?
So obviously we need a mammoth hunter.
So yes, I've got what I find probably the best mammoth hunter build for a single mammoth hunter that you can take. If you're only taking the one, this is, in my opinion, the way to go.
Yep.
So he's got 2 up armor, 4 up regen. That's due to light armor, innate armor 1, iron fist, and a wrestler's belt that'll get him to 2 up, and troll leader gets him to 4 up regen. He then has a hunting spear. So he has a strength 7 AP 2 spear to throw at gigantic stuff, which does multi wounds. He has scout and does multiple wounds too against large infantry. And it still has 5 strength 6 AP 2 attacks, plus D3 strength 6 impact hits, and a strength 6 stomp.
And how many points is he?
395.
So just tad under.
I think you're
400.
missing one thing of him:
Mm-hmm.
the Dragonfire gem.
You can't, because he has
take it.
regeneration.
It's got fortitude.
Oh yeah, you got that. All right, yep. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness, because that would have saved him in our game.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if you wanted to get the 2 up water flaming on him, you have to not take troll leader, and you have to take. The problem is, and then you have no regen.
Instead.
Yeah. But the problem is that you have to lose the wrestler's belt as well, because you've only got 100 points of kit, and the wrestler's belt's 70. So, and realistically, outside, there's not a lot of standard shooting that has flaming attacks. And if you want to throw fireballs at me, go for it. I've still got 2 up armor. If you want to throw alchemy magic at me, that's fine, because you're going for the hunter in the flank of your army. You're not going for the rock, you're not going for the cannon.
So the other
It's
big
all wins.
the other big elements were your double rocker rock and your double cannon, right?
Yes, so I've got double rocker rock, double cannon, double saber, a single kinator,
Mm-hmm.
3x3 tribesman, a block of 9 bruises with full command and the banner of discipline to make me immune to panic. Then I had that hunter that we spoke about. I have a BSB who is a horde master, so he's got plate armor and basically every weapon under the sun. And then he also has the banner of the Ginganet, so it gives me reroll 1s to hit, to wound, and armor save for the first round of combat. And then my general is a shaman on shamanism magic with the gut roar, a big name, so it causes fear, has 2 channels instead of 1. I've got the rod of battle, and I had Liger's tongue and light armor and iron fist on him.
So basically maximizing what you can get out of that block, right?
Yeah. Oh, and the ritual bloodletter as well. But yeah, basically the premise of the unit is, and Scotty, if he was here, would be able to tell you the same thing. I actually managed to get it off against him. I got that bruiser unit on the charge into his big tribesman unit, and I got rod of battle off, and I got neg 1 to wound on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, cool. I'll wear your best punch. He took 2 or 3 bruises off. I then hit him back with 5 bruises and 2 characters.
Mm-hmm.
My characters were hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. The bruises were hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Killing on 2s, rerolling 1s. I took 6 or 7 ogres off out of
So
the 10.
You played an ogre off, did you? Was that first round?
First round, yep.
First round. So, and Scotty was taking something completely different, wasn't he?
Yeah, he went. So he went down the path of double catapult, double cannon. He had a couple of bruiser darts. That was 2, I think. He had a big merc unit with iron fists, plate, poison, a BSB. It was similar setup to mine, and a big tribesman unit with the Swift Stride banner and a pyro mage.
So we had 2 big blocks.
He had 2 big blocks, yeah.
Yeah, and our game was second.
Yes, it
so
was.
that was obviously quite successful for you. And then in our game, it was all about the rocker rocks and the totemic summons, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Kinator, the hunter, and the totem summons. Yeah, that did all the work in that game.
So the dual threat of the Kinator, and I don't know if is there any other armies that can kind of get this combo going off Kinator and totemic summon. It's quite neat.
Off the top of my head, I don't think so.
Can beast herds ambush things done and summon back?
Well, beast herds have got Briar Beasts.
Yep.
They've also, but that's the thing. Like, a unit of 10 wild horns, in my opinion, yeah, it scores. It can probably do a bit of shooting and do a bit of combat. It doesn't do what a Kinator does. It's not unbreakable.
No.
It's not immune to psych. It's not T5. Hasn't got a regen save. Hasn't got hatred. And the other thing is, the important thing is, it can't be stomped. And only being a 40 mil frontage is a lot harder to chaff up than a unit of Gore that are 125 mil wide.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a lot harder to stop one single 40 mil model getting in the back of your army compared to, trying to fit in 10, 15, 20 Gore, whatever you put in. It's a lot harder to fit that in. Even a unit of 10 miners at 5x2 still takes up 100 by 40 mil. So by the time you keep an inch either side of that, you've lost the best part of what? You only got to keep a 5, 6 inch gap, and they still can't fit unless they go to 2 or 3 wide, and that's fine if they do that, because 9 times out of 10 people don't take musos on those sort of things.
Yes.
So they come on super, super narrow. They then have to basically reform. They stay where they are. They can't shoot. That's fine. Because 9 times out of 10, you'll just turn around and shoot them off, or you'll just do enough damage, or if you're smart, you just don't allow them to come on anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So looking at the Kinator, is that one of those units that if you're going to be, well, your ogres, you want to be offensive, is that a must-have, you think, at least one?
Oh, it depends okay, so it depends how you want to play your army. It depends what you want your army to do. For example, if you took an army with 3 or 4 units of vanguarding, a couple of hunters with vanguard, that or whatever, you may not need the Kinator. You may need those points to go into the Yetis. Because in that sort of army, you'll get into combat turn 2. A Kinator's not effective until at least turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not matter. But, my list more than anything may be a bit different because you got to remember my list is designed for a team's environment. So I'm trying to get paired into stuff specifically. It's not like a typical singles list. If I was going to take this to a normal singles tournament, any day singles tournament, my list would be very different. I'd have choices in there that were different. I probably wouldn't take the Kid Eater, personally.
Mhm.
I'd probably also change my core around a little bit. I'd probably change the Bruisers to Tribesmen and change the Tribe Darts to Bruiser Darts.
Yep.
But, because then that would allow me a little bit, because that would free up about 60 or 70 points, which that 60 or 70 points, as well as the Kin Eater, will allow me to get a Giant in.
Yep.
So, or I could take a unit of Yetis, or, I could probably skim back the Hunter a bit and take 2 cheaper Hunters.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, it literally varies on what you want to do and what you want the list to do. My list at the moment is basically, it does what it says on the tin. It's like an old 8-head list. It's got cannons, it's got rocket rocks, it's got a big block, it's got enough options that, a gunline army has to corner, a combat army still has to be careful because I've still got a lot of chaff, and at the end of the day, like, even happened to you at one point, Chris, I had a Totem Beast, the Gorger, and a Hunter all behind you at turn 2, and it's like, well, you were sitting there going, well, do I turn around and try and shoot them, or do I go after the rocket rocks that are running at me?
Yeah.
Like,
Turns out I did a bit of both, and it wasn't good enough.
no. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I did
like
both and
it.
it wasn't enough.
So,
Yeah.
Jack, you mentioned that if you were playing a singles list, you'd probably go for the Giant and you'd probably save some points. What's the charm of the Ogre Giant?
Literally the point that it just runs forward. It's a 290 something angry. You give it the great weapon. It's got the 18-inch Muso buff, which that is horrible. How many people you see, like, for example, like units of Harpies or Sabres or, stuff like that, you want it to march. If it's not inside 12 of your general or BSB and you want it to try and march, if it fails, you can't chaff nothing. It doesn't move up enough. Good example, a unit of Dark Riders. They're what, leadership 8?
Oh, yeah.
How often are they near a general or a BSB? Honestly, not very
Never.
often.
Never.
Or acolytes, Hugo.
Yeah, even stuff like that. Cool.
Never.
I might be 16 inches away. That 18-inch leadership, you're now on a 7. If you fail that, you're not going to chaff me.
Yep.
So, like stuff like that. And not to mention, in my opinion, the Ogre Giant with a great weapon is the best Giant in the game for its points. Because the Giant will, if a Giant can get into combat with 4 or 5 wounds, say it even takes 2 wounds, you now have a Giant that's swinging to the fences with D3 impact hits at strength 5 because it's got out the Sons of the Avalanche. It's got a D6 Thunder Stomp at strength 5, sorry, and it still has, 7 to 10 attacks at strength 7 with a great weapon. It's a perfect monster killer. And then you've still got access to the Ogre Hereditary. If you take Shamanism, you got +1 strength or +1 toughness.
Yep.
Like you've got 2 chances to make that thing effectively toughness 6. So it's like, cool. And then, like, even if you throw it into like a dragon or, anything that has fly, hasn't got a rank. The Giant has a rank. It runs in, it whacks you, it wins combat by a couple. You're now breaking, or you're at a risk of breaking. Like, yeah, it's just for 290. I think a 290 or 280 or something like that. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's around that.
260.
They always have that threat though too. You charge a Giant into another monster, especially when they have a great weapon. Most things can't do 7 wounds to you to kill you outright.
No.
And there's always that thing like, oh, now I'm gonna try and weather the storm of those strength 7 attacks.
Yep. And in my particular list, I know it doesn't happen very often, but could you imagine giving that +1 to hit from a Rod of Battle?
Perfect target.
That's the Rod of Battle, in my opinion, is one of the underrated items in the game because people look at it and go, oh, it's only 12 inch range. Oh, you're never going to really use it. In my case, it's perfect because my primary target is my unit that I'm in.
Yep. And obviously, helps Ogres hit because Ogres.
Yeah.
Which is, again, one of the main weaknesses of the army. One where all my points are, can't panic it, and if you want to fight it, if it has the Rod of Battle off, and it's got the Banner of the Ging in it, I hit just about everything in the game on 3s, reroll on 1s with strength 6 great weapons. Not fun.
Not
combo
fun.
there. Do you think in a singles environment that they're okay? They're in a okay place.
The book, in general,
Yeah.
in my opinion, they're a lot better than what they were in earlier stages of Ninth. I'd say before ETC 2017, Ogres was probably in the top 4 books just because of that stupid fucking item they had where the Hellfest where you had like an army-wide BSB.
Oh yeah.
Like, shit like that, and they were doing this ridiculous. And that was back when you could take 8 poison pistol mercs, and they didn't cost you under the sun, and and you had alchemy magic still back then and stuff like.
Yep, if you were a fire
Yeah.
wizard, you get the thing.
Yeah, you
Pyromancer.
could take the option to go alchemy, and I was like, yeah, that was horrifying. Ogres deserved to get smacked in the head with the the nerf bat for that. That was just terrifying. There was no coincidence. There's 34 or 36 countries that year, and 28 or 29 of them took ogres, and I think it was only 2 lists or 3 lists that weren't Hellfist.
Mhm.
Like, it's not much of a coincidence there. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
no,
Hugo, can I ask you, Hugo, you with the ogres now, like we've got that build now, they kind of got hit with that nerf bat, then they were given that soft pillow of they
Like,
kinda got,
points. Everything got
Yeah,
dropped
it
in
was all
points.
points. Where do you see him at the moment in a singles environment, or just in general?
I think in the singles environment, okay, so in my memory, and Jack can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most of the dominant ogre lists in the past were the gun lines. Like
Pretty well.
it was like mass
mixed,
bombardiers.
mixed arms to gun lines. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
mixed arms to
wasn't
gun
very
line.
many push forward and shove it down your face armies.
Yep, and I just think the gun line, the armies that were the Ogre Khan fared well against, those armies have just kind of vanished. Like, especially with demons and like warriors being, the new things, the new armies, like that's kind of hurt the gun line because you're seeing less and less elves. I think this is also comes with, pyromancy being strong against T3, so that they've
To be
they've
fair
just
though,
phased out.
it may be a little, but having all those fire spells now losing that point of AP was massive.
Oh yeah,
That
but
was huge.
yeah, that turned like having a save to like maybe you like I can see that, like, obviously not getting a chance to even roll a 6-up armor save is big, but it's still a 6-up armor save.
Yeah, but like for an example, if you had a unit with 4-up armor,
Yep.
you would rather, you know what I mean, like it's a 50% pass rate instead of a 33% pass rate.
Yep.
I've seen a
Yep.
big dip in pyro. We still talk about it a lot, but do you think that'll be something in the in upcoming stuff when you look at the the ETC and that? Is there going to be a lot less pyro, just in general?
Well, if
Because
you
it
look,
was super popular for a while.
if you have a look at WTC, like the list for those of you that anyone that's listening isn't aware, the WTC is a massive teams event. It played in Herford, Germany every year. It's around late April, early May. I think it's in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
But,
we've been browsing the ogre list actually from it.
They have if I have it, I think they've got like 100 or 85, like something stupid. There's like 400 people going to this tournament.
Yep.
And they're in 5-man teams. I'm pretty sure it's 400.
Yep. Ogres is
So
actually
8,
one of the most popular armies. I think
They
they've
are.
got 30.
They're well, that's what I mean. They are. I think they're second most popular behind VC. I think it's either VC or UD. One or the other. One of the undeads is the most popular one, I think, from memory. But yeah,
Speaking of pyromancy, of the WTC ogre list, there are 11 shamanism, 10 thaumaturgy, and 7 pyromancy.
it's about right.
So
Least popular, but
least
not by
popular,
a long
but
way.
it's pretty easy.
You'll probably find though pyromancy in general. If you have a look at the whole field, so if you look at that as say that it's like a test gauge, and even you take the Luxembourg lists 2 months ago, there was 130 people there in teams. If you take those 2 tournaments and you look at the common trend, there's a common trend in both of them. Not a lot of alchemy, and the few times there is alchemy, it's usually an adept. Lots and lots of div, lots of shamanism, and there was surprisingly a fair bit of witchcraft and thaumaturgy.
Yeah, they're definitely popping up a lot more.
Yeah.
Hugo's a big fan of them, but I'm seeing them a lot more as well. Just looking at that WTC, it says here we are the most popular army choice. 30.
Ogres are they? Well, there you go. Yeah.
There you go. In the WTC. Yep.
Yeah.
So, well, great. Yeah. So,
Should we
you
talk
think
about some of the
they've-
lists? Since we're on the...
I think so. There was a few, Jack, that we spotted. We do want to talk a bit about Mammoth Hunters. I know, Alex, you've been using Mammoth Hunters?
Oh, Mammoth Hunters are great. They are my second favorite thing in the whole board.
I think there's a list here. Should we find that list?
Oliver.
with the,
Oliver
Oliver.
Fagerholt.
Oh, this one. I think I know what you're talking about. So
But-
this list
oh.
should have in bunnies underneath it. David Trick at 2.0. Find something bent and spam it.
So Oliver's list. Hugo's getting up now. Hugo, you got it there.
Yeah, I've got it. So basically, he's a Shaman General, it's a Wizard Master with Gut Roar, so that's Channel 1 and Fear. Iron
Mhm.
Fist, Scepter of Power, and Thermatology. Scepter of Power is you add a d6 to one of your casting rolls. Then he has...
Or dispelling roll.
Or Dispelling Roll, yep.
Mhm.
Then he has one, two, three, four hunters with Vanguard, Iron Fist, Ogre Crossbow. One of them has a Dragon Staff, and then he has one more expensive Mammoth Hunter, so that's 6 Mammoth Hunters, with Vanguard, Rotten Jaw, Iron Fist, and as well Ogre Crossbow.
Oh, I can take a bet. I know what happens next in this list.
What happens
Keep
next
going.
in this list?
There'll be 2 to 3 Kin Eaters at the bottom of the list with reroll ambush.
Oh, there's 3 Kin Eaters.
There's 3. Wow, what a surprise.
So, there's a 8-man tribesman block with Iron Fist and Banner of Discipline, because you don't want to
That
run
gets
off.
around the no need for a BSB.
Yep, no panics. 3 Bruiser Darts,
Standard.
2 Sabertooths, a Scratapult, and double Thunder Cannon.
Shock and horror. The other surprising thing about hunters,
Yep.
they have the equal best leadership in the Ogre book.
Yeah, it's 9, right?
Leadership 9, same as,
Yep.
as a Great Khan.
Base 9.
Yep.
Base 9. Yep.
Now,
In a
there-
wild-
there is
in a-
something I don't understand about these Mammoth Hunters.
Mhm.
And that's the Ogre crossbows.
Yeah.
I know he wants to get in the flanks and shoot. But with taking 2 cannons, like this is a team tournament.
Yep.
Yep.
Wouldn't you want them all to have the spear with the cannons and just send him after all the
No,
monsters?
Because what happens if you get into a situation you can't get into a position to throw spears at the monsters without being shot at or attacked by something else?
What's
With
the
the-
range of those spears?
12.
12.
The crossbow is 30 and it's strength 5 AP 3. You can literally sit back and shoot war machines with them. And
Alright, fair enough.
because you
Can do
ogre
that.
because you remember too, your mammoth hunter's got light troops. So you can still march 14, get inside 15 inches and go here, bang on a 3+, I hit you with a crossbow.
And I'm
I
guessing
think
that
that's the
crossbow is
most,
not a ability.
Oliver's list is the most interesting list of all of these. Like that one.
Mhm.
There is another one here, the double Merc Vets list.
Is that Craig Johnson's list?
It is Craig Johnson, yes.
Yeah, this list I believe come very, very close to winning UK championships the other weekend.
Oh, there you go. I'll go through it. He's got the Shaman, Shaman on Shamanism. He's got the BSB with Cult Leaders, an 18-inch BSB and a Crown of the Wizard King.
Beautiful.
Then we've got the 3 Mammoth Hunters. One with Restless Bolt, Lucky Charm. One with Great Weapon, Cadguy's Legacy and Troll Eater.
Mhm.
And one with just a Mammothide Cloak.
Yep.
He has the unit of 8 Saber Tusks, which I've never seen before, but always thought was interesting. 6 Bruisers, 3 Bruisers, 3 Bruisers, Yetis, Dog, and then the 2 units of Merc Vets. One with Vanguard, Plate, and Great Weapons.
Yep.
And one with a Swift Stride, Devastating Charge, and Iron Fists.
That second unit is not to be underestimated. That's a lot of strength 6 attacks on the charge.
That is a scary army, I think,
Yep.
for a lot of people.
Quick one, Alex. Those mammoth hunters, have they got leader of the pack?
2 of them do. The ones with the Restless Bolt and the Cadguy's Legacy.
Yep.
The third one just has Vanguard for itself.
Yeah. So the 2 single dogs will basically Vanguard up.
escort them up. Yeah.
Which literally it's the old slingshot. They Vanguard forward 12, Mammoth Hunter splits 14 forward, the dogs fuck off 16 backwards.
Yep.
Yep. It's literally just to save 30 points for not buying Vanguard for those 2 hunters. That's all it's for. And that third hunter with that Mammoth Cloak is an arsehole, because you can, even if you shoot a cannon at it, you wound it on a 4+. Because it goes down to strength 5.
Oh, because it's a single model.
Yep.
Oh.
No, that's just what the cloak does. You can't
That's
ever
the
do
cloak.
it.
Oh.
Yeah. So shoot a bolt thrower at it. Wound me on a 4.
Oh.
Yep. And that's what he's there for.
But then if you look at the other list, looking through them all, there's the common theme are Mammoth Hunters and Double Rocker Rocks.
And a lot of cannons too.
Cannons, yep.
Yeah. Those 3 things.
Like,
Yep.
obviously...
And I would also say, like I said, that people are trying to take as few ogres as they can. I believe there is a list here somewhere that only has 5 ogres in it.
Is it
I
the
believe that.
Noblars?
Where's that ogre list?
I think
Is that
it's
with the
it's
Noblar
second
Archer
last one.
core? Was
Ah, yeah, the one that I cannot pronounce.
Yeah, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. Tanguy Pusak.
I apologize in
What
advance.
team's he on?
It doesn't say what teams people are on.
Should have it at the top of the entry, the five lists. If you go to the top, there's a little heading.
Oh no, I'm looking at just the ogre list, not everyone's list.
Oh right,
this
okay.
is from the Ogre Forum, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, you
his-
specifically went there. Yep.
He has 7 ogres if you count characters. 1 unit of
We
5
don't count
guys,
characters.
A shaman and a mammoth. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got scraplings for his core, kid eaters, trappers, cannons, scratapult, double rocket rock, and a giant.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think I can do one better than that. I took an ogre list to KenCon 2 years ago, back here, and I had 1 ogre unit in the army. 1.
That's my problem.
And that's the army that I had. And I think a couple of you guys were at that tournament actually. The one where I took the ogre list with like 15 yetis and a block of 20 sabers with hunters and Mornfang and bits and pieces. And literally just went, here, my whole army vanguards. And the look on people's faces, because everyone's used to seeing 1 saber, and they go, oh, 1 saber's not that bad. Try imagining the look on someone's face when you put a unit at 20 down with a hunter in it that's got the reroll 1's banner and has the old rotten jewel where it gave the whole unit poison for a turn.
Yep.
And goes, here, every dog has 3 attacks each. And there's 40 toughness 4 wounds. Plus the hunter.
Well,
And
that's
you
why
can't
that's why Alex loves hellhounds, because they're
Yeah.
exactly that, with just 1 wound and a 5 of ward.
Yep.
I do like me some hellhounds.
So,
Hellhounds are sick.
20 hellhounds, Alex? 20 hellhounds?
You only need 3. 3 is all you need. I
Yeah.
killed a poor Jacob. Killed his Taurosaur in a game last week with 3 hellhounds.
There you go.
They're impressive little creeps.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of 6s to wound. Away you go. Off to the
Well,
races.
Here's a better question for you. When you look at the ogre book, is there any unit in that book that you never see come, or like it's very rare? It's that rare you look at it and go, oh, it's in time.
Just the unit of more than 1 saber types. Saber cat.
But that's what I mean. But like you'll still see that. It's not like for an example, if you see let's go down the path of a wood elf army. And those forest rangers, the great weapon. Oh, actually, no, the spear, the close combat spear
I
elves
don't even
in
know
core.
what they're called.
The forest guard? No, forest.
I know
The
they're
Eternal-
often 5
Yeah,
spearmen, though.
the Eternal
I don't know
Guard.
if they
Yeah,
use them.
like you look at it and you go, wait, what does that do again? Like, there's nothing like that in the probably the Scratapult maybe in ogres. It's not very super common. But like, yeah, like that's. I think that helps because the ogre book, I think from memory, also has one of the amount of choices that you can take.
Yeah, I was going to say that the amount of choices is actually quite
Very tiny.
compared to other armies. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
like-
looking through and there's just a bit of everything. There's 14 giants. There's 19 scratapults. But yeah,
Yeah.
apart from that, there's just about everything. I mean, just on the monsters. Can I jump to the monsters for a sec?
Yep.
The monsters are must to have 2 to 3.
I think they're the best part.
Yep.
Pretty much of the ogre book.
There is an old trick that I've seen that is surprisingly effective. Is taking triple mammoth.
Triple
Triple
mammoth.
You take triple mammoth with a shaman caster and go, here, I have 4 chilling howls. And let you go and just go, here you go, you can't hurt me. Because each mammoth has a bound one. So you literally can, on an 8 dice phase, go 2 dice, 2 dice, 2 dice, 2 dice, 2 dice. You can't stop all of them.
Yep.
And go, there you go, my ogre army pushes forward. And the other thing too, a lot of people forget about that spell. So you'll be too worried about stopping Totem Beast or Big Chilling Hell off the caster or 5 to 6 strength 1. And then your mammoth that's in combat goes, cool, I'm going to use 2 dice bound Chilling Hell. Now you can't wound me on better than 5+.
Interestingly, frost mammoth is very small amount of frost mammoths taken in these lists.
Because people will look at it and go, for 70 points more, I get a Rock.
Yep. Like, I can only see Frost Mammoth like being played if you're playing the vets
Yeah.
list and
Or-
doing like the
yeah.
4 initiative swing thing. Other than that, I can't really see it being played.
You can get it to 5 if you put a character with Yeti furs in there.
Oh yeah, of course, of course, of
Like
course.
that'll make a unit of Merc vets effective agility 8.
Yep.
They'll go before Spear Elves.
Yep. And then I've seen like I mean it almost came up in one of Scotty's game where he did the agility jump. So he got to swing first, and if he had placed his Frost Mammoth slightly over to the side a bit after he struck, the unit that he was striking would be now outside of the range of the Frost Mammoth and thus jump back up in agility and miss the turn of striking.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's annoying. To
Yeah.
say the least.
Very, very, very hard to pull off, but yeah, that's possible.
Well, like I mean, if you know you're going, like I feel like it's
Are you saying that something would not get to attack?
yeah. So for example, like the ogres, let's say okay. So for example, let's say the ogres are fighting elves, for example, right? And then so the ogre vets go in, and then all you do is you just march the frost mammoth past the elves, right? That
The
means
trick is to get it in contact with only the very back rank and kill the back
yeah,
rank
yeah, I
off.
understand.
oh no, just march it past because it just got to be within 9. So you just march it to the past the unit, and then just make sure the model there's only one model in the corner or the back rank is within 9. Kill the back rank, and then suddenly they'll jump from agility 2 to suddenly 5, and then they would have missed their turn to strike.
Is that
Oh,
how
I
that
understand.
works?
I understand. That's how it works in Hugo's head. So
It
I'll
seems
double check the
real
wording of the
shady
mammoth
if it
because I don't know if
doesn't get
it
to
says
attack.
until turn. You may have to see when exactly. Because the other question is
So the rule is enemy units within 9 inches of one or more frost mammoths suffer -3 agility.
Yep.
So if only the back rank of your opposing enemy unit is within the 9, and you kill that back rank.
Yep.
There.
So the next question that you'd have.
Yep.
So say for example it's a spear elf.
Yep.
They're normally 7. If they get charged, they go down to 4.
Yep.
You impact hit them. You have an Ogre Khan that or an Ogre Khan agility 5 or 6
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
Swings, kills a couple. Then their next agility step is those elves go back from 4 back to 7.
Yep.
You've already fought agility step 6. You count down, not up. Therefore, they've missed their chance to attack.
Yep. That's how it goes.
I'd have to check that in a lot more detail, but off the top of my head, that sounds pretty sound.
it makes sense.
You would cause a very good argument with someone if you did this.
I mean, and they'd have very good reason to make an argument with you.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like they should just attack right away, but it's not how it's.
But that's the problem though, because the minute that model dies,
Yep.
that's the last part of that agility step is remove models.
Yeah.
Before you start the next agility step, even then, like you know what I mean, like even the minute that model dies, go off the way that's written. The minute that model unit steps out, it jumps straight back up. So then it'll come down to a situation. It may even come down to, is it the active player's turn? What happens first? Does the mammoth, like you know what I mean, because they're 2 simultaneous effects then, which would then be the active player's turn. Because then, okay, we get to fight immediately after removing models, but immediately after removing models, we jump back up agility. So what happens first?
God, I'd hope that never happened to me in a tournament, especially in a big situation. That'd
Like
be like,
that is something you really wouldn't want to put it. And
I've just checked. I'll actually read from the rulebook here. Each round of combat that is fought in a strict order, referred to as the initiative order. The initiative order in a combat is determined immediately before any attacks are made. Take into account all modifiers that affect the agility of attacks that can be performed in this round of combat. Once the order has been determined, it cannot be changed.
Oh, it cannot be changed.
Well, then there you go. It's all sweet.
You found it.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I mean. Like, there's all, and that's the beauty of this book. No matter how many times you read it, you will always learn something new with it. When this stuff pops up, there's always little things that go, oh, I can't remember. You know what I mean? Like,
that is something that people who play other games would definitely, like, their rulebook would not have that in it.
Wow.
No.
Nope. Definitely
and
not.
you could almost guarantee 6 or 12 months ago that would not have been in that book.
Yes. Absolutely.
So one person did probably exactly what Hugo was describing.
Yep.
It's all right. It's all right. We already see we already saw the Demon Legion Deceiver rule, where it says the Deceiver's attack gets set back to 1. I mean, I guess somebody pulled that trick, right?
not stacking
Yeah,
attacks.
somewhat.
Yeah, well, it's stupid how when you read the rulebook now, they've gone that far in detail, like they've
Yeah.
almost dumbed it down to the point where like you can't do this because this says this, or you do this and it specifies it does starts this and that and stops.
There's no
Like,
assumption. It's
because
exact.
the problem you've got, and a lot of guys will notice, a lot of these rule changes come from massive tournaments over in Europe.
Yeah.
Where they'll have, 80, 90, 100 player tournaments. They'll have some of the best players in the world playing at it. And people will get that gamey and that horrible. And I'm not saying it's everyone. There might only be 3 guys that do it. You know what I mean? Or there might be like
It
a
only,
2%.
it only takes one.
It only takes one. And then they put, and say if it's, imagine this, 100 tournament, it's top table, and a guy pulls this rule, and you as a TO now have to make the call, and this is basically going to ruin someone's tournament,
Oh yeah.
one way or the other. Like, that's why these rules get written in, to avoid this shit happening.
And it's great that we have we only know the only person here who's going to do it is Hugo. So
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. Hello.
Well, that's what I mean. There's still, in my opinion, a couple little gaps in some rules that will need some fixing.
Yep.
Because you can still have a good argument one way or another for them.
yeah,
But, like, there's some things, put it this way, there's some rules I would, in a situation, for example, ETC, I would not like to have to sit there and argue this rule with my opponent with a referee, knowing full well that it's a timed tournament, knowing full well it's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to find a ref, because there's only usually 3 or 4 refs in a room of 300 to 400 gamers.
Yep.
It's not easy to find one. Usually they're dealing with someone else's shit.
Yep.
By the time you get hold of one, by the time you explain the situation, he will then let you both explain it separately.
Yep.
He will then let you try and explain it collectively. Then by that point, normally English is a problem as well to try and get the language barrier.
Oh
I
yeah.
had an example where last year I had to try and talk to, it was myself and a Latvian guy had to try and chat to a, I think he was a Norwegian ref. Like, and a lot of us, English is not great.
Yeah.
For a couple of them. So, and with my accent, over there in Europe, they find Australian accents very, very hard to understand. And apparently mine's a lot stronger than some other people's. So, I find it very hard and I have to repeat myself and talk very slow and it gets very frustrating. But the point is, by the time you fuck around, spend 15 to 20 minutes going through this step, arguing the book, flicking 20 pages, oh, but this says this, flicking 15 pages, oh, but this says that. By the time you do all this, you've wasted 30 to 40 minutes on the game.
Yep.
In a 4-hour round.
Yep.
This might be okay for your opponent. He may have just, you know what I mean? Like, this may end up coming
But
one
yeah,
way
that
or
might
another
be
and it's
his
not going to
plan
achieve
all
anything.
along.
And that's, again, you honestly, don't laugh. That is actually, has been a thing in the past. Has not been able to be proven, but there is people in certain areas of the ETC realm that have a reputation for doing dodgy shit to slow down the game to influence the result of the game. Because they will design their army to get, 3 to 4 points in the first 2 turns of the game. 2 to 3 turns of the game.
Yep.
And then they might play to turn 4 or turn 3 and not give you any chance to get anything. And they'll go, cool, I'll take the 15, I'll take the 14, done. And that's you know what I mean? Like, and that's that, I'm not saying that happens a lot. Again, there may only be 2 or 3 people in the room. But there is people with a reputation of doing dodgy shit like that. So,
absolutely.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
like-
that none of those people are around here.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Tournaments. I was reading a thing on the front today. Once again, doing a bit of research.
Cool.
And there were people. Well, essentially what they were saying is they don't really help their opponents. So this might sound strange to people listening, all 3 of you, from not here. But I can't think of a game where I didn't help my opponent or they didn't help me. Like, we remind each other of stuff. Like, all of us, we all do it. Oh, you forgot to move that. You know?
Yeah.
It's just been, like, you're there to have fun. Have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
As part and parcel. In our game, Jack and mine's game, I forgot to move a gyrocopter. Act comes over. Actor, who was also playing dwarves, came over and goes, "Is your turn done?" And I went, "Yes." And then he looked at the board and went, "Why the fuck didn't you move this?" And I went, "Oh," and I completely forgot. And of course, Jack being, this is a bit of a, what would you say, a sportsmanship thing. Like, we always do it for each other.
Yeah.
if you forgetting to move one thing is an obvious
Yeah.
sportsmanship thing.
Yeah, because I think Dave and them mentioned in their podcast something about like because when you play like for us especially if when we're playing the game we kind of want to win because we won the game not because of a rule thing that somebody forgot or forgot to move
Yeah.
something.
Oh, absolutely.
And to be 100% fair, like you'll usually go your opponent in a tournament normally, not what I mean, like not in the sense of helping them gift them the game, but you don't want to feel like you're cheating your opponent out of something. And myself, whenever I play tournaments, I'm of the opinion where I'm more than happy to do the right thing by you if you do the right thing by me. If you start turning into a dick and you want to do dodgy ruling or funny dice rolls or bits and pieces, then that's fine. We'll play it that way. Then I sit down and go, right, here's 1 inch keef, every single one of your units, stick them all down. You now move everything to this set of measuring sticks, slows the game right down. I don't like doing it, but I go, okay, this is the way you want to play it, this is the way we'll play it. And they go, oh, but now you turn into an asshole. I'll go, well, no. I gave you the opportunity to have a good game. You didn't make me enjoy the game. You've just gone out of your way to be an asshole. So now we'll play the game to the letter of the law, to the way the rulebook's written. And if you miss something, it's too bad, so sad.
Yeah, very rarely happens now.
And I'll admit, I've never ever had to do that in any stage of my Warhammer fantasy thing in Australia.
But
I've never had to do it.
But it's in your back pocket, right, Jack? It's in the back pocket.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I've done it. I've done it twice. I've done it twice at the same ETC against two teams back to back. One of them, we had an warrior. I won't specify the country because it's not very fair. I played orcs on warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Before, okay, he had no shooting. He only had one caster. I had an army that sat in the corner, didn't move. I was not in range for the first 2 turns to shoot, except for 2 war machines. It took 2 hours to do 2 turns. He questioned every single thing, argued every single point, did everything he could to be difficult to slow down the time, called a ref at every opportunity, wouldn't even let me show you in the book. Go, cool, the mangler can move like this. Here's the book. No, referee. 39 ref calls in 2 hours.
39.
39. And do you know how many he was corrected out of those 39?
I'm going to guess it adds up to 40.
It adds up to a 0.
Oh.
He did it intentionally to slow down the game, be a dick, and he was sitting there making me go, oh, but you have to move this, you got the 1 inch thing, oh, but you can't move that because you have to move that first. But you can't move that because you've got no movement key there. I don't know how far you've moved. Okay, well, that's fine. If that's how you want to do it, that's fine. I then started measuring every single... Put both our tape measures to the side. I put down a set of the plastic measuring sticks and said, we measure everything off them now. It's exactly the same. There's nothing different. I said, now whenever we roll dice, I put down a box and said, you roll them in the box and you don't touch them until both players agree on how many they are. I put down a measuring key for every single one of his units, every single one of my units, blue tacked them into the corners and said, you do not touch them until the units have moved. And then the minute you take that key away, you cannot fucking touch that unit. You can't even go backwards.
It's a world away, isn't it, Hugo? I can hear his voice. It's a world.
And you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to have to do that. But it got to a point where, like, he was even having people stand there and calling me a fucking liar and a cheat in my face. And I was holding the rule book up and the thing up in front of me. Like, I wasn't arguing to argue. And I was going, but this is what the book says. Oh, we don't care what the book says. Well, what do you mean you don't care what the book says? That's the fucking rules. Oh, but in 40k, this isn't fucking 40k, champion.
What the heck? What the heck?
Yeah, I'm serious. That actually came up. So, and then, like, I had another game from a different country the game after. Again, another Warriors player, but this guy was a merc from the same country as the previous guy I played. And we had the same sort of problems. Yeah. He was measuring units, like, for example, a unit of Chaos Knights magically moved 19 inches in a turn. And I said, how the fuck can they do that? But they only moved 14. I said, no, they didn't. I said, you started 12 on the table, and you've now ended up 31 inches across the table.
Yes.
Math don't add up, mate. He goes, oh, but now, he goes, oh, but you can't prove where I put the unit. I said, yes, I fucking can. I pulled out my phone, said, there you go, there's a picture. Put them back. And he's like, oh, okay then. And then, just like bits and pieces like that. And, he was like holding his hand over it. And then I didn't know, but he had dice that had symbols on the 1s. Oh. And he was saying they were symbols on the 6s, and they weren't allowed.
Oh.
Like,
Oh.
and he,
Straight up cheating that one. Like,
yeah,
come
and he
on.
was just saying, oh, but all my symbols are sixes. And then I sent a couple of dice rolled with sixes, and I went, hang on a minute, picked it up, turned around and said, symbols are on the ones here, man. And I said, you rolled about 4 or 5 of these in a pile earlier. And he goes, oh. And he quickly swept all those dice away and handed them to his coach, and his coach walked out the room before I could get a referee. And I'm like, oh, yeah, great. So I copped that in the same day that happened to me. That's the only 2 times I've ever had to be a dick. I didn't like it, but I only did it to not get cheated.
That's a bad day.
Yeah, that was a very bad day. That's why I have grey hair now.
Don't come to Australia. We don't want you.
No.
Why do
But
these
yeah.
people even play the game?
And that's what I mean.
Why?
Like, and that's, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say to people to not about, not coming to ETC or whatever else. In my opinion, you can ask anyone that's ever been. It is the best experience you can ever have. In my opinion, the gaming is secondary. I would happily go over there and not play. I go over there for the social side, especially if you 2 or 3 times. You get to meet guys, you get to hang around them. This is the only time that you get to see them. You get to go out and have a couple of drinks in a different place with other people. You can go out and explore together. It's all the stuff around it, and just the point of view that it's a holiday with a good group of friends for 2 weeks, and literally you can just leave all your dramas behind you for a week or 2 weeks and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I enjoy the lead up than the actual event, because I enjoy the whole working together as a team to make lists and like list analysis and probability and bits and pieces. Like, I enjoy that more than playing the game now, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But like, for anyone that ever wants to go, I would never ever say don't be discouraged. Try and apply. You never know. You get in. If you don't get in, there's always another year to go. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my little bit on that. But yeah.
Oh, fantastic. We'll have to get you back on when we talk more about Biv and our little slice of teams. That's coming up real quick.
Yeah, it's only a couple of weeks away. List due this Sunday.
You are the organizer? Is that still the TO?
Oh, I'm event organizer. I'm not the TO, but yeah.
Maybe Jack, we can get you back after the lists are submitted, and then you can tell us how we're actually meant to do lists as a team.
Predictions?
No, like.
No, I mean like the predicting how many points you can actually get out of something else's list that we still don't understand.
I'll be honest. I would happily grab a couple of lists. Like, I'll put it this way: 2 or 3 lists from another tournament, like WTC or Luxembourg or something. I can put them down and say, this is why I would score it, and I can easily step it out and just explain it in a couple of minutes on each one, so people can understand how the predicting process works.
I think that would be very interesting.
It's not a drama. I would happily do that if people were interested to hear that. And I could do it with my Ogre list. I could do it with anything. Doesn't bother me. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, to be honest, you're better off to do it with something you know more of. But yeah. And it's the same as the other thing probably too is probably explaining the pairings process to people if they've never done the teams tournament before too.
Yes, that's also very helpful.
Yeah. So.
You definitely have to explain the points to Hugo, because he said I wouldn't get 6 points out of the Vermin Swarm on Sunday, and I'm very proudly going to say I got 20. So screw you, Hugo.
Yeah. How? I'm sorry, Chris. I can't predict you getting a unit of greybeards into the flank of his slaves and running through everything afterwards in the flank afterwards.
Oh,
it was great.
God. And let me guess, you had 2 ranks in the flank, didn't you?
I had 4.
You bastard!
Like, how? How does that happen? How do you get outmaneuvered by a dwarf?
It
was overruns. It was a lot of overrunning and things like that.
Speed dwarves, bro. They're natural sprinters.
I love James. We had a good game. It was just, I think there was one little error he made, and then he wasn't able to block that unit. And flank charge.
Clearly.
I was very happy because that never happens.
Yeah, because it never happens. It never happens. I can't predict something that never happens, Chris.
You can't say it never happens. It's very improbable. It's the same as how, like, for example, in Chris's mind, Chris didn't take a BSB, and that bit him a couple of times.
Yeah, I did have. Was it Rangers that ran on?
You had a Ranger unit on a steadfast that ran from a hunter, and you rolled high. To couldn't catch you. And you also had the situation where my rock went into your unit with your wizard in it. I killed 15 greybeards on the charge with a single rock in a single turn.
He hit with every attack. And
And rolled
not
three.
even talking about impact hits.
Yeah. I got 8 hits with the rock due to battle
Yep.
focus,
Yep.
Mhm.
and rolled like a 4 or 5 for Thunderstomp and 6 or 7 impacts. Like took 15 dwarves off. And Chris had that banner of the hold and goes, "Oh, I've got 2 ranks. I'm steadfast." Rolls a 10. I'm like, "You're not steadfast now, champion."
I'm gonna give the Rangers some credit. They fled through all of my army. I'm not all of my army. Round up
Yep.
on the right side, the right flank, and then got
They
charged.
shot over 40 inches across the table.
And they got charged. What 2 turns later by
A
Summon?
totem beast. Yeah, a totem beast. And they
then
killed him.
They killed it.
Fuckers.
So it was great value to see them.
They never died. They stayed alive at the end of the game.
They
Died.
did. They
Yeah.
did. We always have some great moments, and yeah, we talk about all the gamey stuff that does
Oh.
pop up sometimes, but we
The-
always have awesome.
The one thing that I probably should bring up too, the reason why my Scott's game went so far skewed
Mm-hmm.
is again the panic problem. Like Scott's army, you even ask, like, it was cruel. Like, I mean, I have leadership 8, and I lost, a rock, and 2 cannons. Both my cannons, they died to failing tests. Stubborn
Yes.
8 rolled a 9 twice on the rock, fled.
Thanks.
Panicked off a cannon on a leadership 7 twice, couldn't rally it, ran off the table. Panicked the other cannon on a leadership 7, panicked it, couldn't rally it 2 turns, fled off the table. Scott lost the unit of Mercs and the BSB. The unit I killed a Bruiser Dart next to them.
Mhm.
Leadership 8 with a reroll, 9, 10. He fled 10 inches backwards, straight through my Totem Beast, bounced out the inch past, and that put the corner of the Merc unit about half an inch from the table.
Oh.
It took the whole Merc unit and the BSB off, which then caused the Mammoth to flee, caused a Cannon to flee, caused a Stratapult to flee,
Oh.
and just
Train wreck.
watched this.
What kind of game
Collapse.
is that?
Feels like
Yep.
Scotty needs to learn how to roll some dice.
And yeah,
Like
and that's
Scotty,
nice.
Scotty is terrible with leadership. Seriously, like.
Yeah, and I said to him, I said, "Bro, I said 135 point banner stops that Merc unit from running away," and he went, "Yep." He goes, "I fucking hate ogres."
And we were trying to get poor Scotty on tonight to have a chat with us about that horrible experience. Is he still going to be using ogres after that, Hugo? Do you know?
Oh,
wouldn't
he
be
loves
surprised
hurting.
if
He
they're in
loves.
they're in a
He
smelter.
loves hurting himself. So yeah, he'll probably go back to yogis.
They will end up in a fire somewhere. It's like
Yeah.
a scorned ex-girlfriend with your clothes, just burning them in a fire out the front of your house. That's Scotty as we speak with his ogre arm.
Oh,
No.
he's going to have another go. But
No, he won't burn
just-
them.
Ugh.
Yeah. So that panic banner, absolutely fundamental. We did talk about leadership a little bit.
Yep.
It's not that they even have bad leadership, is it? It's
So-
just that
Well, you
there's
have
no leadership rules.
You only have leadership 8 unless you take a Great Khan,
Yep.
which you're laying out about 400 to 500 points to do that, and he literally can't do anything except fight.
Can I just add? Is it because of the steadfast? They're not often steadfast.
That is also another draft.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
So
you,
I'm
you
just
no,
thinking
no,
about, like,
yeah.
orcs and-
So the major drawbacks that ogres and orcs have similar drawbacks.
Yep.
Low offense, low defense, low agility.
Yep.
Low leadership generally.
Yep.
Orcs is not too bad because an Iron Orc Warlord is still probably 80 to 100 points cheaper than a Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah,
Like-
but orcs also have like an abundance of fearless things.
Orcs can get around it because they have a lot of shit with fearless. You can literally take a nearly all fearless army, i.e. Simon
you can.
Simon
Turner's current
Turner.
fucking orc army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black orcs. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Black Orcs, Feral Orcs, you don't have that problem. Like, but see, Orcs also have bodies. Ogres don't, so they have steadfast issues. If you don't take a Great Khan, you are limited to leadership 8 unless you
Mhm.
take a Wild Heart army, which then means you've now got a leadership 9 Hunter General and a BSB Hunter. But now you have the next problem, is where do you put those Hunters? They can't hide in an Ogre unit.
No.
So, do you actually think the ogres are going to get something like a warriors treatment? Because obviously, warriors was also one of those low leadership armies, low model counts, but
Leadership
they've been
independence, yeah.
boosted. Like they've kind of been pushed up because of the leadership in the recent patch.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Warriors have that lead. What their leadership 8, they're fearless, so they don't have to worry about fear. They don't have to worry about terror. They don't have to worry about panic. You also got, if I remember correctly, the new Hellforged armor. They get re-rolls on
Yep.
those tests,
Break tests. That's
on
for
break tests.
Yep.
Yeah,
But the
which
barbs get reroll both.
yeah, re-roll both.
Yeah.
Like,
Reroll panic as
and
well.
And
the,
their champions are also discipline 9.
yes. So as long as that champion, and but the other thing too is a standard warrior, a unit of 10 warriors on average should kick the shit out of a unit of 6 ogres. And the unit of warriors is probably cheaper. The unit of 10 warriors is probably cheaper than fucking 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
That's the biggest problem that I found with ogres and orcs have similar problems, in the sense that their ogres and orcs are both good fighting armies. They're both good combat armies. The problem is that a large majority of the books do it better and do it cheaper.
Yep.
Yeah.
With a lot more bodies on the board.
Yeah.
Orcs can get around it a bit because orcs have got doom divers, catapults, rocker rocks, you know, a lot of magic. They've got access to, if they want to, they can take a lot of bows. They've got manglers. They've got, 1,000 bits of chaff. They've got all those annoying fucking things just to, help you out.
Yeah.
Ogres don't really have that. So, like, that's why it might be like, ogres, in my opinion, are probably, I'd say they're probably, upper, probably mid tier. Might push upper mid tier with a hunter spam. They're definitely not a top tier army. Like they're not.
Yeah,
they're not a UD. They're not.
But I mean, even a hunter spam army, it kind of like you need a certain player to play that list. Like it's
Yeah.
not a plug and play
Exactly.
army at all. Like
No.
you still need some like skill to like make sure like the mammoth hunters are in the right spot. You're like putting the right pressure.
Yeah. Which that, to be honest, in a way, that's just what you do. Your units is just less forgiving. Like you could get away with that with an elf army if you've got a block of 30 spearmen and they charge you in steadfast. That's all well and sweet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You don't have that with an ogre.
Nope.
So it's no different from cowboy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, it's the same as what happened in our game here. Accidentally, I don't know if that was just me being late in the day and having no fucking sleep, but like. Put that rocker rock too far forward and you took it off.
Oh, I think that was, yeah. But I think part of it was because you saw the cowboy run the other side, so you're like, oh, this is a good time to like push because kind of like the main threat.
I pushed too hard though.
Yeah.
I
Because
gave you that. I shouldn't have gave you that cav charge. Like it was what, an 8 or a 9 on Swiss Stride. If it was an 11 or a 10, you may have probably still thought about it.
Oh, definitely. Oh, it was close. It wasn't a long charge at all.
No, it was a 7. It was a 7. You were 14 away.
14 away. Yeah, it wasn't a long charge.
Like that was just come down to me just going, oh, I'll just shove it 14 forward and didn't bother to measure. Like I just got to the stage of that part of the day where I was just getting really tired and I probably should have been paying more attention. I'll be honest, but
you just really wanted Hugo to win.
Yeah, I just wanted him to get his icon back.
Thank you.
So
Thank
he
you.
aided
It
in
was
the redemption
gifted a win.
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's a pretty good way to wrap up everything. Just
Yeah.
what you said just there, and it was great to have you guys talking about ogres and what's next. I mean,
Alex,
as we revisit this.
is
later
something you
on
want
as
to
well.
add?
Yeah, Alex.
Look, the one thing I think to fix my problem that an ogre sucks is they need to make Merkvet's core.
What? What?
No.
What?
They're not the same.
Radicals
They won't be
No.
the same unit. They won't be the same unit.
An honest thing,
in core done.
You
It'll be
want to
the
know an
Corsairs.
honest change? I think could actually make the list better, like ogres in general better. Change the hereditary spell.
Change the hereditary spell to what?
Yep. Rod of battle. No, seriously.
Make
Every
it
other
offensive, not
every other army, right?
Well, think about orcs.
Orcs, they have rerolls to hit. That's a hex. That affects everything. One unit affects everything. You got,
Dread elves.
elves. Dread elves have got rerolls to wound. They got, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
ogres, it's like -1 to wound me. Okay, that's cute, but like, what the ogre's problem is not being wounded. The ogre's problem is being able to hit someone.
That's true.
And like, at the end of the day, if one unit gets +1 to hit in close combat, make it, an 8+, 18-inch range. That's all you need. You don't need to do nothing else to it. Or, you might be able to make it an 18-inch range on an 11, or an 8-10 or 7-10, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Alex,
You don't have to do anything stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that could be an awesome hereditary spell.
What do you think about that, Alex?
I mean, it's an improvement for sure.
what
Would it be a
about
fair
just weapon
improvement
skill?
to me?
What about just offensive skill? Like I think I know definitely one of Scott's biggest pet peeves is ogres need to be offensive 4.
A normal ogre can be 3. I think a bruiser should be 4. Because remember, you've still got access to paired weapons.
Yep.
So you can still go to 4 anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, you definitely 4 is the new 3.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 is the new 3. Well, it's interesting. It's
All
interesting.
right. Last thing. Okay.
Yep.
Jack, Alex, if ogres got a new unit, what would it be? What do you think is something new that they need?
Because we did talk about how you have the least amount of units to actually choose from.
Like
One
obviously,
question I wish you had asked before we started.
sorry. Like obviously, like I'll say one. Like I think the Khan should be able to buy a Tusker.
The can't buy a Tusker?
The
No,
Khan.
the only character Tusker
is
is a hunter,
bizarre.
and the
I
hunter
didn't
cannot
realise.
join a Tusker unit.
Yep. The Khan
That
should
was
be able to buy a Tusker. That is all.
Has that got more to do with Tuskers than it has to do with him?
No, but you could still make a Tusker star with a Great Khan in it
Hmm.
if you wanted to. You don't even have that option at the moment. If you take a Tusker mount, it is on a hunter who cannot join anyone.
Yep. That's
Bizarre, I
just
didn't
bizarre.
realise.
I think here we go. A new core unit for them.
A new core unit.
Like, or maybe just an upgrade to tribesmen to like give them heavy armor and shields. Not Iron Fist, heavy armor shield.
But that is Iron Fist.
No,
because the shield doesn't give an Iron Fist parry.
Yeah, they don't have parry, so you're not getting.
Oh no,
any-
sorry, no. Iron Fist does give parry. I'm pretty sure, doesn't it?
Okay, so they have like maybe even like plate and shields, like a tanky unit of ogres.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
Merc
give us-
Vets.
They're Forsworn.
Merc Vets.
But
That's Merc
they're all
Vets.
true. Merc Vets have better strength, better offense, defense.
No, it's not
Just like-
Merc-Vets.
That's
Yeah.
Merc Vets. They can buy full plate and Iron Fist. That's
Well,
one of
look,
their
I already
things.
said I wanted Merc Vets in
Yeah, you're not getting
Just
Merc
wants
Vets in
Merc
core.
Vets.
You're not getting it.
Actually, you know what could be something pretty handy? What about if you made like something similar to a Kin Eater?
Yeah.
But had like small version of it and use them like a glass cannon. Like like it doesn't have to be unbreakable or doesn't have to have ambush, but like, even if they're only say like they're T4 or something, like they're a smaller version of a Kin Eater. But they're like got frenzy, they got hatred, probably even battle focus or whatever. Make them, here you go. They're T5, 3 attacks each, no regen. You know what I mean? They shove them forward,
So like
yeah.
so maybe like
Fallen.
another version of a Yeti.
Fallen.
Yeah, basically, you do like
Yetis are the best unit in the game.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Only other thing I could probably think of is maybe like maybe like a fast cav unit. You could probably put like Noblars on like on like a giant rat or something. You know what I mean?
Giant
Like,
rat.
I don't fucking know. I'm just trying to come up with an idea, man.
You mean
that
have
might-
a
I think you're-
a
you're
Nobler
starting
riding
that
an ogre?
Well, actually, didn't they have something a while ago in Ogres? Maybe in the 7th ed book. Where
Yeah,
they had,
yeah,
like,
the Nobler riding a
Noblar
Nobler.
riding another.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
Yeah.
they
Right,
did.
right,
They
right,
did
right,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, they were awful. God, they were awful.
I think they were called piggyback knights.
Don't laugh. That probably was the fucking name.
Oh boy, we've got to find out if they still have models for those.
Oh, they will.
boy.
There'll be some somewhere.
Oh boy. Don't Google piggyback nights, alright? Just don't.
Oh God.
Nah, I think that's the thing. I think it was.
Oh.
Oh, that's definitely not the name for it, Hugo, so I'll let you read.
Nah, it's definitely the name for it. I've got a good hunch.
We'll let Hugo Google that one and then report back with how scarred he is with the results.
Yeah. I think you're on the right track, like fast cav or something
Yeah.
different.
Or
something
even
different.
give them like a small even like a blast on like say like wolves and like give them shooting weapons like thrown weapons or
Yep.
like just something different. So because
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, let's face it, what have ogres got in terms of chaff at the moment? Sabers.
Okay.
Trappers to a lesser extent, but trappers are very, very specific.
Well, according to Hugo, anything under 300 points is chaff. So
Well,
Hugo
there you go.
thinks-
There you go. Use your core as chaff. Fucking bruiser darts and tribe darts.
So
155 points of gold.
that's it, really. Yeah.
So if anyone's watching the YouTube video, I have now scarred you with the glorious image of a piggyback riders.
Oh God.
There they are. There they
In
are.
their glory.
In
A
their full glory.
Nobler standing on top of another Nobler with a spear and a shield.
And that's what they need.
That's what
That's
they
exactly
need.
the unit they need.
That's what they need.
Perfect.
They
Alrighties.
should just change their names to be ogres in quotes and put a cape around them, like a cloak.
Yeah.
Like what? Like a streak?
Noblars
Like a
just
streaker robe?
No, like
Yeah.
they're like two people on top of each other trying to act taller. Ogres.
Peekaboo Knights.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. That's
Yeah.
it. That's the idea there. Done.
Yeah.
Forum
Unreal.
posted, sent to the army team.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Hugo's anything else you wanted to add, sir?
No, it's all good. I think we've made a well-rounded podcast.
Thanks so much, guys. They did a great job.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Alex, for
much.
joining
Thank you
us.
so much.
Just a super quick one before we go.
Yes.
For everyone that is probably aware that the first weekend of May is going to be BIV, our teams event for the year. We've got 6 teams going of 5 this year, and lists are due this Sunday coming up, which is the 20. What is it? The 20. Let's say 23rd, 21st.
21st.
So, yeah, lists are due in a single email in the correct format. You don't put them in the correct format, you'll lose points, and you'll have to deal with a very angry me. I am not doing what I did last year and had to correct 13 fucking lists.
Great way to do it is using that app that was sent out. New Recruit.
Yeah,
Recruit
new
works really well.
recruit. If you want to do that, you can, or you can copy it into the format I've got there. I will accept either. So that is fine. I'm not accepting Battlescribe bullshit. I will literally grab your list and send it back at you with a very angry face. So yeah.
We'll be getting our stuff together. We'll talk about that next week, I'm sure.
Yep.
If there's no fixes that we
Well,
have to do, Hugo and I
provi-
should have ours ready to go.
Providing I get all the lists on Sunday, I will have all the lists out sometime Monday after I get home from having a sleep and doing my bits and pieces from work.
Awesome. And then
We admire your dedication.
maybe afterwards, once all the lists are submitted and posted up, we can get you back, Jack, and be like, tell us, Jack, how a team tournament team should actually design lists.
After all the lists have been collected.
Yeah.
Sure,
For all us noobs.
sure. I'll try my best.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Fantastic. No, good idea, Hugo. We'll
Hmm.
definitely aim to do that mid next week.
All right.
That's great.
Yeah,
So
I can probably
thanks
make that
again.
work.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jack, for joining us.
That's okay, guys. Thanks for having me.
Alex, thank you
sharing
also
a
for
few
staying.
stories.
It's all good. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. Great to chat with all you. Thank you, Hugo.
Thank you. I hope the audio is better this time around.
Yes, I was about to mention that. Absolutely.
Please
thanks
be
so
better
much
this
for,
time around.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let us know in the comments below. My God. Thank you so much, guys. It's late. We're going to sign off, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
See you guys.
Oh,
Bye.